Almost Famous with John Shea. Featuring local and independent musicians from the South Shore, Boston, and New England. On 95.9 WATD.
Welcome to the Almost Famous Tiny Stage, 95.9 WATD, introducing you to independent bands and musicians from across New England. Every Tuesday, 8 to 10, brought to you by Tiny & Sons Glass. My name is John. First things first, if you're a local musician with original music you'd like to hear on the radio, get in contact with me. Find all the information up on the Almost Famous page at 959watd.com. You can follow us tonight, Facebook and Instagram at Almost Famous Radio. Subscribe to our podcast, too, by searching Almost Famous WATD on your favorite podcast app, or go to almostfamousradio.com. Tonight, we are on the tiny stage being joined by J.Kelley. How you doing, my friend?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm great. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be back.
It's been a hot minute.
It's been a little while.
Couple of years. So for those who might not be familiar with you, give us an update as to who you are.
I am a singer-songwriter band leader. We are based out of New Bedford, Mass. Been around for a little while now. We've got, I think, 4 albums, a bunch of singles, and on any given night we are playing somewhere.
Fantastic.
Yes.
It's been an interesting year and a half, you might say.
Yeah, it's for everyone, not just me, for everyone. Yeah.
Talk about pandemic life in your world.
Okay, pandemic life. Well, we were, let's circle back to early 2020, and we were gung-ho to release our new album, A Third of Heaven, and booked a bunch of shows, and had some momentum, and it was looking good, and then the world stopped, and then eventually we just decided to release this album on Apple Music, Spotify, digitally, and without playing any shows, we didn't really get to promote it too much. And that has led us into the world of singles, as you and I were talking about before. So we've kind of put the idea of a whole album on pause, and we've been now this whole year of 2021, every 3 months or so, we are releasing a new single. So,
That is cool.
Yeah, it keeps us busy, which is good.
I want to talk about that in more detail in just a bit, but take us back to your history in the South Coast music community.
Oh, my history. I have a very foggy memory. It's probably, we released our first album around 2012. So it's been a little while. And even before that, my stepdad played in bands throughout all of the South Coast area. So, I remember being a little kid and watching all of his buddies play in their bands, and then finally when I was in college, seeing somebody like Neil McCarthy play and being like, I want to do that. So we've been around for a little while now. Yeah.
Something that I love about Massachusetts is that there's so many different music communities. We have one specific here on the South Shore. There's one, obviously Cambridge, Somerville, Boston has its own rock scene.
Yeah.
The Cape has its own scene. Western Mass and Central Mass all have their own scene. What is the South Coast music scene like?
It's hard to say. I feel like
New Bedford seems to have its own little music hotspot.
It does, and it's got its little genres. There's a little bit of a jazz scene. There's a little bit of a singer-songwriter scene and a folk scene. I think the issue that the New Bedford area has is just places to play. But I think that's kind of everywhere. I think the amount of places to play live music has decreased a little bit,
especially in the last couple of months with COVID.
Yeah, and as far as and decreased in the sense of there's not as many places to play where you can play a full band on a stage. That doesn't really exist anymore. There's places where you can do duo or solo work or even trio work in a corner somewhere. But as far as venues with actual stage that feature live local bands, not really easy to come by.
And encourage original music too.
And exactly, yeah, right. So you're not up there doing covers. We're kind of lucky. We kind of just dug our feet in the ground and said, okay, we can do some covers, but, never are we going to do, less than 50-50. You know what I mean? So we're going to play originals, and if we have to lie to people and tell them it's a Tom Petty B-side, so be it.
I love that. So you mentioned you're a band leader, too. Who are we missing tonight from the J.Kelley Band?
Okay, we're missing drummer extraordinaire and the heart of the band, Mr. Tom O'Leary. Tom is also in about 5 other bands. He's the drummer for Joshua Tree, which is a U2 tribute band. He was the drummer for the Poor Men for a while. But yeah, he's our drummer. Rob Massoud is a bass player and background vocalist. and John Fernandez is a magician on the lead guitar. So it's been the four of us for a while now. We're a pretty close unit. So
excellent. That's J.Kelley of the J.Kelley Band joining us tonight on the tiny stage here on WATD. Let's start off with a song. What are we listening to first tonight?
I think we're going to do... I'm the only person here. I'm going to do a song off of the album Third of Heaven called This Is Home.
All right. J.Kelley, the tiny stage is yours. 95.9 WATD.
The things that keep me up at night are the same that wake you from your sleep. That feeling of helplessness, shaking your fist at the monster's feet. But wherever this life leads you, whatever you endure, well, there will be one constant. Whenever you show up at my door, scared of this world we've left you. Such a cruel and dangerous place. Be kind, be wise, be vigilant. Be yourself, be my girl, be safe. And wherever this life leads you, whatever you endure, well, there will be one constant. Whenever you show up at my door, wherever this life leads you, whatever you endure, well, there will be one constant. Whenever you show up at my door,
What a great way to start the show. J.Kelley on the tiny stage, 95.9 WATD. How did you write that one?
Okay, so I can give you some background on this. The album, I have to backtrack a little bit. So we came out with an album in 2019 called Burning Season. And lyrically, maybe not musically, but lyrically, it was fairly dark. I knew a lot of people going through like divorces and breakups and depression, and it was kind of a dark album thematically. So I wanted to do the complete opposite after that. So Third of Heaven, the whole idea of it was to make an album kind of light, and positive, and it ended up being that I just kind of wrote the album around the idea of writing a letter or a series of letters to my daughter, who was 3 at the time. So a song like This Is Home is just me expressing to her, like, you'll always have a place, wherever life may lead you, whatever you might go through, like, you're always going to have a home wherever, I am. So that's kind of the basis of that song.
How do you typically write when you have the idea for a song, or how do you even get the idea for a song?
There's a million and one ways. Sometimes it's, a chord progression you start playing. Sometimes a melody just pops into your head. Sometimes it's a phrase you hear. Sometimes you have some, I have notebooks on top of notebooks on top of notebooks with just, even if it's just a phrase of lyrics, just because I might be like, oh, I have a great melody, but I don't have any words. And so you run back and you're like, oh, that phrase might work. So, there's not really a specific one way. Lately, it's funny, I've been finding that I've been dreaming a lot of songs where I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll be like, I haven't, and I'll have a melody in my head, or I'll have a verse or a chorus or something, and I'll have to like kind of jump out of bed and write that down. But I don't think there's ever one specific way. Sometimes it can just be picking up a different instrument. If I haven't played a certain guitar in a while, I'll pick it up and I'll be like, oh, there's a song here. So any way.
I've had more than one musician who I've interviewed on this show, and they say that their goal in life is to be able to dream a song.
Well, then they can come talk to me, because that's all I've been doing lately. And I think it's just because of being at home with a small child and working, and I work from home. I don't have a lot of time like I used to, where I can just put a couple hours aside in the middle of a day and go write material. So somehow I think my brain has just, figured out like, okay, well, when he's sleeping, there's time. So.
I love that. So I think the first song that I ever received from the J.Kelley Band back around 2011, 2012 was a song called Shake You.
Yes.
Since that single on the album came out, how do you think your writing has evolved up until A Third of Heaven?
Ooh, good question. I don't know. I tried not to do the same thing twice. So it would have been, Shaky was kind of big for us, and I think it would have been very easy to repeat that. And so I tried specifically not to do that. How it's evolved. I think I'm less hard on myself. I don't second guess myself as much as I used to, maybe. I used to do a lot of editing, and then at the end of the process, I would come back to it and realize that I edited myself so much that I lost the magic of the song to begin with, and then I'd have to go back and go back and find the original idea. I don't think I do that as much anymore. I think I work quicker because I don't second guess myself as much, and I think that just comes from confidence.
When is the song finished?
It's finished when it's recorded, when it's done. Because right up until we're about to release a song in September, a new single. And I'm going in next week just to edit it a little bit more because I think it's too long. So, it's literally right. It's done when I can't fiddle with it anymore. That's when it's done.
I think you might be the first rock guy who's ever said his song is too long.
Yeah. There's something to be said for being short and concise. There's a beauty in being able to have a 3.5 minute pop song. It is not that easy. I think it's a lot easier to have a 5.5, 6 minute song. And that doesn't mean it's bad, but it can be, it's a good practice to try and trim the fat and leave them wanting a little bit more. It's easy to keep tacking on choruses, but I think sometimes if you leave them wanting more, they'll play it again.
I love that.
Yeah, I come from the Tom Petty school of writing too. He's got this famous quote: "Don't bore us, get to the chorus."
Yes.
So I always kind of have it in the back of my head while we're in the studio. well, what would Petty do, or what would the Beatles do, or what would not that we sound anything like that or we're nearly that good, but I think it's good to be able to put the brakes on yourself and realize that this doesn't need a full string section. It's kind of good with just the guitars and drums. So
I think he's the one musician that I miss the most.
Yeah, that hit me pretty hard, actually. I remember being at the office and seeing it flash across my screen, and I thought it was a joke. Like, oh, there's no way. That's just one of those rumors. And then it was like he was dead. Oh, okay, then he's not dead. He's in the hospital. And then, oh no, he's dead. And that one hit me.
I went back and forth about 2 or 3 times at least.
Yeah, and it's brutal. He's always been, a lot of people who hear us think that I'm a huge. That Springsteen is a big influence, and he was. I love Springsteen, but Petty was always the guy that I looked to as far as how to craft a song. I just thought he was the master of it.
I think so too. Completely agree.
Yeah.
Let's hear something else from you. What are we listening to next?
Well, we were talking about dreaming songs, so I can do this next song. The song's called "Strings and Bells." It's going to be released sometime in September. But yeah, I woke up one night and the whole thing was done. I had the lyrics, I had the melody, I just had to grab the guitar and figure out the chords. So it's kind of I like this one just because of that. It's just neat that I was able to dream up a tune. So
let's hear it. J.Kelley, 95.9 WATD. It's all yours.
Someday when we're old and gray, if we live that long, maybe we'll belong to a dream. Somewhere only devils stare down a primrose path through rose-colored glasses we'll see. She hangs flowers of pink and red. She says my failures are my success. Am I breathing or am I dead? Is this enough to keep you here, to make you feel as though we belong? We walk a tightrope, a dancing kaleidoscope of heart and soul. And I hear strings and bells, and I'm falling under the spell of Sally singing farewell. She said there's no vanity left, no texture, no sound, just holes in the ground where we'll lay. We wait till our stars in the sky, diamonds burning bright from the deep. She hangs flowers of pink and red. She says my failures are my success. Am I breathing or am I dead? Is this enough to keep you here, to make you feel as though we belong? We walk a tightrope, a dancing kaleidoscope of heart and soul. heart and soul. And I hear strings and bells, and I'm falling under the spell of Sally singing farewell, farewell.
Awesome. J.Kelley on the tiny stage tonight, 95.9 WATD. When you have a song written and it's ready,
Yes.
how do you then work out the arrangements with the band?
I pretty much, I'll demo them. So I'll either demo them on guitar, once in a great while I'll demo them on piano, and then I'll give them a reference of, well, I think this kind of sounds like this song from the Beatles, or this kind of, I feel like this sounds like, X, Y, or Z. And then I let them take that demo, and they work out a part, and then we all get together, and then we play it through.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really lucky. These guys their instincts are aligned with my instincts. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So, like, we're all kind of on the same page. John might come up with a guitar part that I never thought of in a million years, but it's exactly what I want to hear, And I think that a lot of that comes from chemistry and from playing together. We've put in our 10,000 hours. We've played together so much that, Tommy knows when I give him a song, he knows, like, oh, okay, I know what kind of feel this needs on the drums. Or sometimes he'll say, this doesn't need drums at all. It needs tambourine and shaker, and that's it. And I'll say, I didn't think of it that way. You're right. Yeah, you're right. Okay, great idea. So it usually comes together really quickly. Knock on wood, we've been extremely lucky that we've never really butted heads or had disagreements about parts or arrangements. It's been pretty awesome.
Do you have any songs that are too personal to share?
No. You know what? Yeah, I do, but that's the reason to share them. I have songs that I probably have no business releasing, but that means you have to release them, because if you feel that way,
there's a million other people who feel the same way.
Yeah, you hope so. Or, man, I'd sell for two, one or two. But yeah, you want to connect with people, and if I'm feeling something and I'm like, wow, that really, I have a new tune that I think in the fall we're going to actually do an EP, so it'll be 5 or 6 songs. And recently I wrote a song, and it came out real fast, and I went back and I read the lyrics as I was writing them, and I'm like, oof, that you get chills sometimes when you realize, you hit the nail on the head on that one. That cuts really close to the bone, and that's a good thing. And I brought it to Tommy, the drummer, and I said, what do you think? And he's like, wow, that's really personal. That's great. I cannot wait for you to release this. This is going to be great. So, yeah, I mean, it's certain songs you say, oh, I shouldn't release it, but that means you have to release it. So
that's great.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's gotten me into hot water before. You change the names so you don't know, so they don't exactly know it's about them. But yeah, you have to release. You have to put it out there.
We are up against our first break of this hour. We have a lot more to chat about, more songs to share as well with J.Kelley on the tiny stage. Stick around, 95.9 WATD.
And now, back to Almost Famous on 95.9 WATD.
Welcome back to the Almost Famous tiny stage, 95.9 WATD, introducing you to independent bands and musicians from across New England, brought to you each week by Tiny & Sons Glass. Follow us tonight, Facebook and Instagram at Almost Famous Radio. We are being joined tonight on the tiny stage by J.Kelley. How you doing, my friend?
I'm well. I didn't realize you were going to handcuff me to the microphone here, but that's fine. It's fine. I'm sure you'll let me go eventually, but it's fine.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. It depends on how many callers we get tonight.
No, God.
Do you mind the velvet handcuffs, or do you want steel?
The velvet's pretty fancy.
Okay.
I'm digging it.
Okay, yeah,
nice.
we'll keep it the way it is.
I might
then.
take these home.
So introduce yourself again, if you don't mind.
My name is J.Kelley. I am the songwriter, band leader of the J.Kelley Band. You can check out our music. It's under J.Kelley on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, wherever you listen to and download your music.
And share with us website, social media, anything like that.
We're on Instagram as the J.Kelley Band. We're on Facebook as the J.Kelley Band. Our website is thejkelleyband.com. The only thing that's different is if you go to try and find our music, it's just J.Kelley.
So in the time that you've been here last, you've released 2 albums and a couple of singles. So talk about what's out there for music.
Let's see. We've got a bunch of albums. We have Reservoir. We have American Standard. We have Burning Season, and we have A Third of Heaven. Those are our full albums. We have a double single called Fight. We have another single called Brutal Youth that we just released in June. During quarantine, we released Between the Hope and the Rage, which was a single, Invisible Distance, which was a single. Yeah, we've been busy. We've been pretty busy.
We talked just before the break about songs that might be too personal to share. When you write a song about somebody,
yes,
do you tell them it's about them?
I want to. I want to so badly. Just because, I want not that I want the reaction, but I do. I want to tell them. I'd say it's 50-50. There's a good possibility if I write a song about someone, I am no longer in contact with them. so I can just kind of hope that they know it's about them. I don't know. It's 50-50. It depends. It really that one's touch and go, depending on the subject matter. Also, in the time since you've been here last, you became a dad. How has that influenced your music? A Third of Heaven, the album we came out with in 2020, was pretty much all based around being a dad, from my point of view. So it produced a lot of songs. I didn't think it would. I didn't think I'd be one of those dads that all of a sudden goes in and writes an album based around their kid. And of course, I did exactly that. How's it influenced my writing? I don't know. It's another layer of experiences, another layer of emotion. So. It's just adding another paint to the palette, I think.
Let's continue on with the songs. What are we listening to next?
Great question. I think I'm going to do an older song. This is from the album American Standard. It's called Friend.
Okay. J.Kelley, it's all yours. 95.9 WATD.
You were a waste of my time. You were a waste of my breath. You're not the only one to get hung out on the line. And I think that I once called you my friend. You're not the first to get hurt. You're not the only one with shadows on their wall. You're not the only one to get hurt. We've all got numbers that we keep, but don't call. Don't call. There's nothing left for you to touch. There's nothing here for you to mend. There's only poison and longing to forget. And to think that I once called you my friend. No, you're not the first to get hurt. You're not the only one with shadows on their wall. You're not the only one to get hurt. We've all got numbers that we keep, but don't call. Don't call. Though I pass, they may cross. This world is far too small. There are no clean breaks. There's not enough time for all we need to say. Need to say. This ain't your first time around. You're not that special, not that hard to get past. This ain't our first time around, no. You're just a child burning bridges in your path. You're not the first to get hurt. You're not the only one with shadows on their wall, no. You're not the
J.Kelley, 95.9 WATD. Talk about how you wrote that one.
That was a good one. So that was definitely that one has two parts. So it's actually two subject matters I kind of threw in to make one song. I had gone through a breakup, which it's such an old cliche, but it's true. So I'd gone through a breakup with someone who, in retrospect, I should have just been friends with. But you know how some people are like, we're such good friends, we should date. Horrible idea. And then on the other end of it, I had gotten to a little bit of an argument with a buddy at this time. So I was kind of just feeling very, very slighted. So I just kind of put those two things together and came out with Friend. Again, some of these songs happen really fast, and I remember writing that one. That was like a 5-minute, oh, okay, here it is.
I think there's a term for that. We shouldn't date, we should just be friends. And I think it's called Taylor Swift.
Well, it was before Taylor Swift, so maybe I should call her, because she might owe me.
Possibly, yeah, royalties.
Yeah, well, that'd be nice.
You could retire after those.
You know how many albums we would come out with if I had royalties for that? One a year.
So speaking of albums, The Third of Heaven came out last year. It was a weird time to release music. What's the story behind the whole production and the planned release of that album?
Yeah, so we were riding pretty high after releasing Burning Season, which we had. Burning Season, I wanted a real raw sound because I thought the songs were pretty raw, and the subject matter was raw. So we kind of just bought a bunch of equipment. We were able to kind of put it in our practice space and record all the parts on our own, and then we brought it to a producer-engineer named Corey Sherman from Paper Robot Recordings, and he did the mixing for us. And we had such a good experience that we said, okay, well, let's do some more. So we ended up playing a benefit show, and as in lieu of payment, because we wouldn't take payment because it was a benefit, we got a gift of free mastering from Black and Blue Mastering, which is Joe Riley does a fantastic job, and it was for 7 tunes. So that kind of inspired us to get back in the studio. We're like, we've got this that expires in a year and a half or so let's get back in the studio. So I had some tunes already written, and I wrote a couple more, and co-wrote a couple with my guitar player John. And we went back to Corey, and we decided to track it live as a band, which we've never done before. We've always kind of, we've put down the rhythm section together, and then we've put guitars down, and then gone and put vocals down. But we wanted to try and see if we could track everything live. And we did that. We had a couple overdubs, but we were really excited about it. It's a really cool album, completely different from Burning Season, and we're going to release it in March of 2020, and the world stops. All our shows that we booked are gone. All the contacts we had made, gone. So yeah, the rug was kind of pulled out from under our feet. I had really high expectations. I was like, 2020 is going to be a great year. I can't wait. But it happened to everybody. It happened to everybody. So we decided to hold on to it and not release it, because how we work is if we release something, we really need to promote it. And then we just kind of keep recycling that money into the next recording. But I don't have much patience. That's not one of my strong suits. So I think sometime around August, I finally freaked out and just sent a message like, we got to release it. We got to release it now. So yeah, we just said, we don't know when things are going to get better. So we released it digitally, iTunes, Spotify. But it's a little bit of a shame. It's a little bit of a, it was kind of a gut check, because I was proud of the album. I am proud of the album, and I know we all were, and we had a fun time recording it. And I just don't think we were able to promote it the way it deserved to be promoted. But you can't cry about it. You can't whine about it. You just got to keep moving forward. I mean, luckily we all still have our health, and, at the end of the day, it's just an album. We can make another one.
Let's do some more music. What are we listening to next?
That's a great question. What are we going to do next? Let's do the latest single we released, which is Brutal Youth. We recorded this at Railroad Park Recordings, which has been our new base now for all our singles and the new EP we have coming up. And those guys just get us, and they're awesome. So yeah, Brutal Youth. Give it a try.
J.Kelley, 95.9 WATD. It's all yours.
We are older now than we've ever been before, but we're alive. and I am holding on to all these memories so tight. Oh, brutal youth, I remember like fragments of cut film. Your frequencies in static in my ear again. Oh, brutal youth. Oh, brutal youth. And I wanna know, can you hear me now? She said, hold me close, touch me there, feel my heart beating. See, all the ghosts that haunt me are not dead, no, some are still breathing. Oh, brutal youth, nights spent turning, days spent dreaming of some tomorrow. Oh, brutal youth. Oh, brutal youth. And I wanna know, can you hear me now? Suddenly I'm 16, lost and insecure, but we survive. Found that song we love, turn it up, let's go for a drive. Oh, brutal youth, secrets go untold. Your syncopated heart beats forever. Oh, brutal youth. Oh, brutal youth. Oh, brutal youth.
That's the That's J.Kelley, not the J.Kelley Band. J.Kelley on the tiny stage tonight. 95.9 WATD. Nice job on that, man.
Yeah, that one's definitely like a full band, 3.5 minute rock pop song. So playing it on acoustic, it's it's a little nerve wracking, but yeah, I like that tune. Brutal Youth was this is another example. I had a bunch of lyrics, I had a melody, I had a chord progression. Not 100% sure what any of them had to do with each other, but it kind of all came together, and a lot of that song is basically a lot of like me reminiscing about being a teen, and I remember I think it was 1994 maybe that he came out with it, but Elvis Costello has an album called Brutal Youth, and I remember playing that CD like every day. That thing just was like a songwriting, like this is how you write great songs CD, like from top to bottom. So the title worked, and it kind of just, for me it's a sentimental tune.
Is now a bad time to mention that I was like 10 or 11?
So was I, John.
Yeah.
I meant I was 10 or 11. We're not going to get into ages right now. We won't do that.
Let's talk influences, though. Who influenced you? I know we mentioned Petty, we mentioned Bruce.
Yeah, the Beatles, without question. I mean, those are the Beatles and Dylan are the two, top of the Mount Rushmore. We mentioned Springsteen, we mentioned Petty. Elvis Costello is big with me. Peter Gabriel is huge with me. There's some modern bands, I say modern, there's some, within the last, 10, 15 year bands that I think are fantastic that have been an influence. There's a band called Dawes that I love. Jason Isbell, who's a great, some people call him country. I'm not even sure. He's kind of does everything. My Morning Jacket is another band that I really dig. I mean, the stuff I listen to at home more than anything is probably like Motown. So, I mean, I listen to the Four Tops on a weekly basis. That's just, that's my home plate. I don't sound anything like that, obviously, but I mean, all that stuff, Stax, Wilson Pickett, Smokey Robinson to me is, an angel.
Just like as like an audio nerd, the production element of that Motown stuff is like, it's almost like it's so badly recorded that it sounds amazing. Nobody can duplicate that.
No. There's a great documentary called "Standing in the Shadows."
I've seen it.
Yeah, and it's like basically it's first of all the guys, all the studio musicians were all jazz guys, and it's just the room. It was those guys in that room that made that sound.
And like an echo chamber in the attic.
Yeah, and it's like you'll never get that. You can go anywhere around the world, you'll never get that sound that Motown got because it was those guys in that space, and that was it. And everything bled into everybody else's mic. I mean, everything now, when you record, it's so specific of, making sure each, the vocal mic.
Sound isolation and
exactly,
all that.
Exactly. And it's like, it was the opposite back then. It's like everything was bleeding into everything. So that stuff's great. Who else influence-wise? Bono is my favorite vocalist. I think he's got the greatest voice.
Have you heard his son's band?
I haven't.
I'm blanking on the name, but they're amazing, and it sounds just like early U2.
Really?
Yeah.
That's surprising. That's shocking to me a little bit. That's cool. Van Morrison, huge Van Morrison guy. I don't know. There's too many to name, man. I just love music. I always have.
What's a song you wish you had written?
Just one song? A song I wish I had written. Well, God Only Knows is my favorite song of all time. So God Only Knows by the Beach Boys. To me, you don't really get much better than that. I wish I'd written that.
What's one song that you would wipe off the planet Earth? Your most hated song ever recorded?
I wish you would ask me this before I was on the air. There's so many. There's so many. Wipe off the face of the earth. I don't know. Come back to me because I'm going to be thinking about this now.
Okay.
That's a good one. There's a lot. It's a loaded question.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's do another song.
Okay.
We've got two more left.
Okay.
So let's do another song, and then we'll ask about the most hated song.
The most hated song. I'm still hung up on that. All right, we'll do. This is a B-side. I say B-side. It was supposed to end up on the Burning Season album, and we didn't put it on there, and we probably should have because it ended up being, we play the song live more than most. So we released it as a single in May of 2020. It's called Maureen. So
let's hear it. J.Kelley, 95.9 WATD.
There's a fog rolling off of that water up to the shoreline and across that beach. We used to walk on when we were younger. That memory is all I can see. And I don't need an explanation. I hope you're happy and I hope you're free. And I don't have any expectations, but tell me, do you miss me, Maureen? I've grown too old for reckless actions. Heartbroken love songs are for the young. But there's a hole in me that just keeps growing, and your name's still on my tongue. And I don't need explanation. I hope you're happy and I hope you're free. And I don't have any expectations, but tell me, do you miss me, Maureen? Tell me that I didn't waste my time. Tell me that some nights push back this bottle. Maybe I should put down this glass. But I'll do another shot for all of my brothers. Here's to the nights you can't escape your past. And I don't need an explanation. I hope you're happy, babe. I hope you're free. And I don't have any expectations, but tell me, won't you tell me, do you miss me, Maureen? Maureen, yeah. Oh, Maureen. Maureen, yeah. Oh, Maureen. Yeah, Maureen. Oh, Maureen.
J.Kelley, 95.9 WATD. Did you come up with one?
I was singing. How was I going to come up with yeah, I can think of a few. I'm going to upset people, though. I'm going to upset, I will say this. I try not...
Personal preference.
Yeah, I know. I try not to ever say anything negative about a song, and I really don't, because I know... Oops, sorry about that. I know for me, like, music is so... It's such a important and vital and joyous, and, that I don't... It's weird. Like, I might think a song is absolute trash. You know what I mean? Like, I just might not like it at all. And yet somebody else, maybe it got them through a hard time. Or maybe
Well, just as an example, somebody a few weeks ago said the 1877 Cars for Kids jingle.
Oh, that counts? We can do jingles?
Sure.
Okay, what's the one that always comes out during Valentine's Day? Oh, God. About rings? That one's bad. That one gets my... The kids... that kids one is pretty horrible. Okay, bad song. Oh, all right, I've got one. I can do this because it's a bad song by the best band. So, the Beatles, Octopus's Garden.
I'll agree with you on that.
I can't stand it. And same album, Maxwell's Silver Hammer. No, I don't want it. Take it off the album. I don't know. How did that get on that album?
The anvil's a little bit much in that song.
Oh, it's brutal. Like, and it's McCartney is, our generation's, Bach. So it's like, you can't criticize him, but those two tunes, oof, those are brutal.
Good picks.
Okay.
I like those. Those top my list, too.
Okay, good.
We are nearing our final break of the night. I think we have time for one more song. Does that work for you?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right.
Good.
J.Kelley on the tiny stage right after this, 95.9 WATD.
And now, back to Almost Famous on 95.9 WATD.
For the final time tonight, welcome back to the Tiny Stage Hour, 95.9 WATD. I'm John Shea. We introduce you to independent bands and musicians from across New England every Tuesday night, 8 to 10, brought to you by Tiny & Sons Glass. Tonight, we're being joined on the Tiny Stage by J.Kelley. How you doing, man?
I'm well. This is fun. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for doing this.
No, it's great. It's great. I can come back every week. How's that?
Sounds good to me. Sure. So introduce yourself one final time.
My name is J.Kelley. I'm the lead songwriter, a band leader of the J.Kelley Band. Check us out on Spotify. Check us out on Apple Music, on Facebook, on Instagram, all over the place. Wherever you get your music and do your things, we're probably there.
What is your most favorite on-stage moment since you've been playing music?
Since I've been playing music? All right, there's a couple. One was, this is before the J.Kelley Band. I was in a garage band with some of my best friends, and we, when you're in a garage band, like just getting out of the garage and getting an actual gig is huge. Like that was like, we got a gig, and there was a place back in the day in Fairhaven called Bridge Street Station, and they always had bands, and sometimes they would have and they always had original bands, which was great, but we finagled our way on a bill. I think it was like a Toys for Tots benefit, and we got to play, and after us were the band Bob's Day Off. I don't know if you remember them, but Bob's Day Off for us was huge. We looked up to them. They were another local band, but they had an album out. They toured. They were, and they put on the best show. So we got to play I think it was a band, and then us, and then Bob's Day Off. And I remember after our set, the lead singer, Todd Casilli, and the lead guitar player, Tom Hiller, both came up to me, and they were like, "Hey, man, that was great. You're great. Why don't you come up and do a song with us?" And I had my mom take a picture of it. I still have it framed. And I was lucky enough to become good friends with them. But they were huge influences on me. They probably don't want to hear this, but I still look up to them. That moment of him inviting me up on stage to do a song with them, that just kind of gave me the validation of like, okay, I can do this. Even at whatever level this may be, I can do this. So that was huge. That was a huge first. I'm going to throw another one because this is big. When I write a new song, and I bring it to the guys, I give them the demo of it, and they say, "Hey, that's a good one." That makes my week. Because
cool.
The whole thing is you're just at a certain level, you're trying to impress the guys you're playing with. You know what I mean? And they're all 10 times better musicians than I ever could dream of being. So, and they, it's like I'm almost allowed to be in their band because they're so good. So when they look at me and like, "Hey, Jay, that's a great song." That's that keeps me going. I love it.
Speaking of which, let's hear one final great song before we wrap things up.
All right, this next one, this is also off Third of Heaven. It's called "Wait Up For Me."
All right, Jay, thank you so much. Get home safely. We'll talk to you soon. Best of luck with the new album, all the new singles, and the eventual EP.
All right, thanks, pal. I appreciate it.
Sure thing. 95.9 WATD, it's all yours.
Love is the easy part. I fell in love from the start. When you left and you got it, gave up your heart. And I'll get up for you. You wait up for me. And I'll get up for you. You wait up for me. Face the fact, I wouldn't trade a second back. I live and die in your eyes. I'm yours, you are mine. And I'll get up for you. You wait up for me. And I'll get up for you. You wait up for me. It can't be easy to be hooked up with someone like me. You're the common I see, babe. Will you wait? I'll get up for you. Will you wait up for me? And I'll get up for you. Will you wait up for me? Change of all the things I change, not one bears your name. Well, change of all the things I change, not one bears your name. Not one bears your name. Yeah. Change of all the things I change, not one bears your name. Yeah, change of all the things I change, not one bears your name. Not one bears your name. Words, well, I've got so many words, talking circles till it hurts, but actions are proof, so just for you. And I'll get up for you. Will you wait up for me? And I'll get up for you. Will you wait up for me? Yeah. And I'll get up for you. Will you wait up for me? And I'll get up for you.